Now, this next topic might not be suitable for younger audiences. While sex robots might not be something you're particularly familiar with, the market is actually growing quite fast. So are the options that you can get on them, even with realistic childlike models, as well as sex bots that you can simulate rape. Yes, you heard me right. You can program it to say no and simulate rape. Joining me now is John Bonshaf. He's a law professor at George Washington University Law School, who's calling on Congress to investigate the risks and consequences regulated sale of these sex bots might actually pose to our society.
That's exactly right, because all too often we let new technological devices get on the marketplace, thinking they're safe. By the time we find out their problems, it's too late to put that genie back in the bottle. I think drones, e-cigarettes are two recent examples. Here we have these devices. They can be bought and sold today. I can go online and I can buy a female sex bot, programmed, as you said, to act as if it's being raped. And some people say, well, that will help to sublimate the man's desire. He won't have to go out and do it real. But others are very concerned that it will kind of whet his appetite. And when you think that you can actually go into a, I don't know what you call it, cyber brothel, and use one of these things for an hour, or you can rent them over a weekend, somebody without very much money can try out raping a woman, and if it piques his desire and he finds it's not quite enough to do with a sex bot, he's out on the street. And even worse, some of these roboticists are warning us they can just as easily make these in the shape of little children, 6, 7, 8-year-old children. And I don't see much reason why we want them to be able to have those things.
Now, Professor, speaking from like an ethics standpoint, what might that do to the morality of the country if something like that were to happen, where these childlike dolls came into the market for sale?
Well, I think it might be a morality problem, but the much more serious problem is people have it in the back of their mind that what would it be like to have sex with a little 6-year-old, and who'd never think of trying it really can go into a sex bot hotel or motel, try it out for an hour.
With the doll?
With a doll. You know, nobody's hurt now, but boy, they get excited. They come back 2 or 3 times, and it's each time exciting. And then they said, wow, I think I'm going to have to do it real. So you're talking about real children being raped and abused. You're talking about real adult women being raped. So I think that's the concern, not whether it matches your morality or mine. But a related issue is, right now, it'd be perfectly legal, so far as I know, to have a brothel with sex robots. Why not? But would you want one in your residential neighborhood? Would you want one near your child's school? Would you want one in a downtown area? Or should we regulate them to some extent? We used to do with the dirty movies. I think we still do with the dirty bookstores. Well, having a real live sex bot seems to me to be in that same category.
Well, what would you expect the government to do to control this oncoming sex bot industry? There's got to be some legal traps to this.
Yes, there are. But I think first, again, we have to find out what the risks are. I don't know. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a sex expert. And maybe the advantages do outweigh the disadvantages. Maybe this idea that people are going to run out and rape adult women or children is a fantasy. I don't know. But if it is real.
You're saying this is kind of like a gateway drug almost.
Right.
It's the gateway.
But if it's real, if the experts tell us it's real, number of things. Number one, right now, it would be illegal for me or you to have in your pocket a photoshopped image, not real, of a child in a sexual pose. Now, if that's a felony to have even a little picture of him, by what logic should I be able to buy a real, almost live one and use it in my home? That'd be one thing. We could do that. I think maybe we ought to say these things shouldn't be sold or used by kids. I mean, kids lack judgment. We don't let them buy firecrackers. We don't let them do a lot of things. I'm not sure why a kid should be able to use one of these.
Well, is your argument not to regulate this so that children can't purchase them, or do you mean to ban the sale of them completely?
Well, again, it depends upon the object. It depends upon the concern. If our concern is that childlike sex bots are going to lead to pedophilia, then you're talking about banning them or very seriously regulating them, maybe only using them under the supervision of a doctor for somebody who's an incurable sex fiend.
Okay.
If you're talking about raping women, I don't know exactly what controls would be appropriate. If we're talking about keeping them out of the hands of kids, then it seems to me you don't want any of these sex
Sure, that
bots
might
in the
make
hands
sense,
of kids.
definitely under
and
the age of
maybe we'd
18.
want to, yeah, maybe we want to keep them out of certain neighborhoods, but allow them in others. I don't know what the regulations would be. What I am saying is we shouldn't just let them be sold, because by the time we find out that some of these concerns are real, there will be millions of them out there. We can't put that genie back in the bottle. We can't yank that camel's nose out from under the tent. It's like e-cigarettes. They are so widely dispersed now that efforts which are just beginning to regulate them almost certainly not going to be very effective.
We are certainly in uncharted territory.
We are.
New millennium here. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Professor John Bonshaft at George Washington University Law School, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.